Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Tavola Aperta open table. The artist today is Pauline Curnier Jardin. Thank you very much for being here with us. And I think we can start, even if other people is coming to attend the open table. And thank you, Pauline. Pauline, I don't know if you already see her artwork is next to us into the Dionysiac Pavilion. And I would like you to introduce your artwork, an artwork that you already researched in 2011. It was an artwork that you already did and that you keep on researching on for the Biennale. So why do you choose this artwork? Or how do you choose this one among all the others that you did in these years from the 2011?
So first, hello everyone, and thank you to be here. And voilà. I'm honored to be here, as I am also honored to be invited in this Biennale. And to answer you, it's actually a curatorial choice. I didn't choose this piece. It's a piece that Christine Marcel has chosen. But when we know what is the idea of the Dionysiac Pavilion, we can then link directly to this piece. Although all my pieces try to be Dionysiac, or they are, or they have something to say about that theme, Dionysus. Yes. So that's to answer about the choice. And after, what happened is that I could expand this piece, which is, I must say, a very important piece for me, because it's the first time I was researching for such a long time, not alone, but with collaborators, the performers, the costume designer, and the photographer, as well as a sound musician, a sound designer, or people with whom I'm still working with. So they became my closest collaborator from this research and from this film. And to expand the piece into what I have called the body, so this big hand. So you have to imagine that when you enter in this little world that I am suggesting, is you are entering through a hand, a big, giant, colorful, bestial, feminine hand, and you walk in a space that tries to look like a body. So that was the natural expansion I found for my film. My film itself talking actually about the body in a certain way, talking about the origin of humanity, the origin of art, the origin of believing, all that talks, all that topics being told inside a cave that I filmed and represented like a giant womb or a giant utero. So this is how I played with the theme of the origins of humanity and the origins of art, and our own origins, of course. So the physical, the biological origins. Since now we are still coming from a womb, maybe it will change, but until now it is like that. And I think we are always trying to connect to our own origins, not only the cultural one, but also the physical one. So this is also what the movie is saying, and when I had the chance to build up this space, I was focusing on this, giving a body, giving a physical aspect to a space.
And this strength connection with religion, that is or religion or tradition. I was thinking about even other artworks like the research on Jeanne d'Arc. So it's even an origin about yes, religion or tradition, a cultural origin, and not just a biology.
Yes, very cultural. Finally. So it's true that I am. There are very often in my work not the religion, but actually the Catholic religion. It's not every religion; it's the Catholic one, with always a tendency to go towards any kind of paganist form. But funny enough, we are in Italy, and I've been researching a lot in south of Italy, and I'm a big reader of Ernesto Martino, who is actually the theme of the Italian pavilion. But this very thin, almost transparent membrane between paganism and Catholic religion in Italy is something that fascinates me completely, because you feel that there is like nothing. How can I explain that? You probably
yes, I think that it is not a rigid
voilà.
border.
It's not a rigid, but it's more than that. It's like one is inspiring the other one, and you are floating and circulating from one thing to another. It's permeable, but also I think I'm doing a lot of and that leads to the theme Dionysiac. I look for. I'm doing a lot of research. When I say research, it's not that I am only reading. It's also traveling. It's also watching movies. It's also meeting people and going to places where a lot of traditions are still in life. I'm doing research about the form of release, what is called exutoire, but I don't know in Italian what it would be. In French it's exutoire, in English it's release, but I don't even know if release is enough strong. It's, in other words, you would say carnivalesque. Also any kind of form of carnival, which is any kind of traditions or fiesta, celebration, where people can go out of themselves, and where the political state, even political statements, everything can be reversed, can be also loft. Wait, yes. And it's not only mockery, it's more than that. It's going outside of yourself and beyond.
It's a sort of ecstasy.
It's like an ecstasy.
Known as a... Yes, the research of an ecstasy, maybe.
But there is different things. There is the research of an ecstasy, but that goes through the beyond the moral limit also.
Yes, like in the carnival normally in the Catholic religion was a period where everybody can do everything with no, let's say, respect to the normal laws or moral attitudes. So they could be really free, let's say, for a short time. And then in the Catholic religion there was the Wednesday of the Ashes when you purify from this period of freedom. Too much freedom.
Yeah, yes. But there are also traditions where there is where the object represented is joy, is ecstasy, is release, is extreme happiness that is even almost scary because it's too much, because it goes beyond our normal life, let's say, and especially nowadays. I mean, living all in a sort of norm-corization of the world, the physique, the way of thinking, the way of eating, etc. Those traditions became even more important. But also, I just want to talk about that before I forget. Something important. All those traditions that inspire me a lot are from Europe. So it's also a way to dig in our European carnivalesque traditions, while the white scientific would always look at other culture, thinking that, oh, there they are doing some kind of exorcism or some kind of crazy esoteric things, etc. While actually, until the 16th century, Europe was just full of crazy ritual and extreme manifestation. So this is also a way for me to say, hey, but what happened? There was a moment where, because I do think human needs to release, human needs to go out of himself or out of herself, but not only killing people, you know. There are other ways that are actually more fun and more effective and more relevant for, to be able to survive. So. And that also is very close to psychoanalysis, which is another thing that is important in my work. But psychoanalysis is also going to your own origins and also trying to figure out where you could go out of yourself and where you can keep where you can
have a self-consciousness about going out of yourself.
Exactly, or having a self-consciousness about going out. But that's also all those rituals were actually self-conscious. So they are actually super framed. And I think it was actually good. It's a sort of
a sort of protection.
A sort of protection around this craziness, this explosion.
So since we have lots of few scholar people today, do you have any really daily practice, artist practice in your work? We saw the artist practice video that gives us some suggestion about your practice and how you conceive maybe an artwork itself. But there is something that you can, I don't think suggest, but you know, like say about you as an artist. We know that you study theater, dance, that you are still part of a cabaret. So if you can explain a little bit about being an artist, because it's the aim also of the Tavola Aperta, focuses on the artist and how they really practice daily in their life.
Well, so first, being an artist, if I can say a daily life definition, it's waking up every morning with having to do something that no one asked you to do. So it starts with this terrible, depressing morning sometimes, where you have to invent your day.
Yes, because you don't have a routine, a normal routine.
And actually you invent it every day. And sometimes it's good. You feel like inventing it because you have, I don't know, you're in a good mood. And sometimes you're really down and it's very hard to invent a day that looks like a day. So, and then also comes the societies. How do you interact in the society when everybody has a day that is already made up or organized and you have to invent? So first it sounds like great, but you have to do that for your whole life. So you also have to invent a life that goes with these days that you're going to invent every day. And that is also another thing. Yes, so you have to deal with this. It sounds a bit, yeah, it sounds funny and it sounds light what I'm saying now, but it's actually quite, this is a structure of the artist's life and condition. It also means that you have to really believe on what you are doing until you are going maybe to make a life out of it. But for me, it took me so long, you know. And I think if I wouldn't have believe in what I was doing, I wouldn't have keep on. Yeah, I would have give up. But it's and for me also, when I was a student, I did everything not to be an artist, which is the contrary that a lot of people has to go through. I had the chance to be in a family where I could be an artist, and it doesn't mean that I come from a rich family, but more from an politically open family, which is already a huge thing. But then I knew what it was. I knew it would be complicated. I knew financially it would be complicated. I knew also that you have to be strong, etc. Then I tried everything. I tried mathematics. It didn't work out. I tried. And then getting closer to art, I entered in a design school. But then it was terrible. Every time someone asked me to do something, I was doing my way, and they were like really, even I started the fine art school 3 years after I went in equivalence in a design school, and it was again a catastrophe. So I mean, a catastrophe. Yes and no, but somehow at the end of 6 years in school, which is quite a lot, I had to admit I will do that, and I will have to do it good. I will have to do it really. And yes. But voilà, and other things, what I am doing, I don't know. Every day it changes. When I can, of course, the perfect week would be going to the studio every day and having some little moment of losing myself in the clouds, and then etc. And then again, it depends where you are in your path. To avoid the word career, but it depends. Now, for example, I want to make space to have this, like looking at the cloud thingy. And I'm going to do it because you need this void to create, for sure. Otherwise, you only run to a place, from a place to another one, and you give a lot, you receive a lot, but the moment of creation is such a fragile moment. That's also why I'm fascinated by religion. It's because there is an ecstasy, for sure. In a moment you have an idea, and I don't know, epiphany. I don't know, but somehow to create this moment where you're falling into an idea, a vision. You have to make you have to make a very precise setup.
And so how you proceed in this? Because I saw some drawings, sketches, even online on your website. So did you sketch a lot or draw a lot?
Yes. Yes, I go from writing to drawing.
Writing like a script, let's say, for a performance? Or
Yes. First there is books. First there is a reading. That I have this theme. There is a theme, but of course there is already my own interest, my own political interest that leads me to special book, because themes are so big sometimes that, you know. And then there are the readings. In the readings, some excitements are coming. From those excitements, some drawings. From those same excitement come the writing, and a vision after another vision after another vision after another vision. Then I draw a story that will agglomerate all those visions, and then I have a film, basically. But this is really my way of working, like accumulating reference. No, it's not references, but it's accumulating ideas, visual ideas, narrative ideas, sometimes sound ideas, accumulating them.
all the different layers.
All the different layers. And then at the end, I will write the narrative. So, for example, the film here, it's typical like that. There is one character, it's Bernadette from Lourdes, so this young not even woman, a child that who has seen the Virgin Mary in Lourdes in this cave, or specifically at the entrance of the cave. And then through that visions, she will wander in the cave. And then in a corner will be one character that will tell something, another one, and another one, and another one. And whatever, I mean, there is no climax so much, it's just a path, it's just a journey, it's just a trip, as we say trip in, yes. Also we say trip for drug, so it was the same idea. So,
and so these drawings are part of the artwork itself, or just part of an archive?
No. Sometimes I show the drawings at the same time I show the movie. Sometimes I only show the drawings without the movie, etc.
So because I saw that sometimes there's a leaflet with maybe some music sounds.
Yes.
So also the choices of the media depends
on the project. But for example, the drawings of Grotta Profunda, this film, and I do often that, they are actually notes for the film, but they are 2 meters on 2 meters, so it's big notes.
Yeah.
Because also in the gesture you find an energy. You know, so writing a movie is such a long process, so at some point it has to go out. Huh?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's maybe a good way of entering in the sexual part of my work, but it's, yes, it has to go out at some point. And the big drawings is a way, and sometimes objects as well, but I'm not completely comfortable with sculpture, not at all actually. While drawing, it has been always there.
Maria mentioned the short video you submitted to the Biennale, And it's a wonderful video because in less than 3 minutes you tell us a long, full story, and you even capture a passerby on the street that becomes part of the story. Is that part of your practice? Have you made many of those? Did you make many shoots of this particular video, or was just one?
No, no.
I had so many questions about that video. This is so wonderful.
I must say that I really like this film too. I didn't know I will enjoy it at all when the Biennale asked me to do such a thing. I was like, oh no, again I have to do something. And but I really enjoyed finally making it and editing it. It's the first time I've done such a thing, and now it's a film on itself. Huh? But because also I made it. I was moving studio. I took my camera. I filmed, as you can see in the video. I almost didn't edit it after. It's like a tourné monté, we say. So it's like shot editing. With my no, it's not like that. It's like that now. Back it was like that. So I shot it in my studio. That was a real mess because I was in the process of packing, and but I was thinking, okay, I'm filming like you. I do a lot of Super 8 shot editing film as well. So I have this practice of like thinking, I'm not gonna edit. This is a movie. I go. And I film it thinking, okay, how to be as close as I can from my way of working in the studio. So I did exactly how I would do during this famous watching at the cloud moment. So I put myself in this position, and then I had these footages, and months after, with Margot Parillot, with whom I'm always editing all my movies, who is a great collaborator. Since years, we edited together. She did the music on GarageBand, which is like really, if you don't know that, it's the software that goes with the computer. And I wrote, while she was playing this music, I wrote a poem that is actually exactly what we said, a link between all the objects I'm showing in the studio. So this, it's what, 2 minutes? 1 minute?
2 minutes 36.
Yes.
Something like that.
It's
I remember.
It's a perfect way to really talk closely about my practice, really. It's just that it's not actors and there is no setup and the camera is like very rough, but it's completely how I'm working. And it's writing also very spontaneously I do a lot of improvisation on stage as well, so it's writing can find this.
Just to explain to the guys, there is a section called the artist practice section on the website. Normally, even here, but we had problems with the thunderstorm, so now the monitors are not working yet. But you will find all the videos of the artists presented in the exhibition in this section on the Biennale website. Normally are video of about 2-3 minutes where the artist is asked to explain their practice. So sometimes it's a very expressive, as Pauline one, that really shows us how she proceeds in her practice. Sometimes they are more cryptical or more connected to the artwork itself. So I suggest you to have a look to the videos. Close bracket.
Yeah, because it's an amazing video. I mean, it's almost like a new medium you created because it's cinematography, it's storytelling, it could be a play. But I'm amazed that this is the first time you have done it. Have you done others?
I have done many, many movies, but not like this one.
But this one, you haven't done like a movie, you're telling us what the movie is going to be about.
Yeah, I'm doing that since years. This is like really the beginning of my practice was to perform on stage a movie. So I would tell the story of a movie that I barely had the images, the footages, but I would invent the story and I would show one picture or two saying this is that. The car is, for example, I was like, oh, the car is coming. And then I would show a video of a car coming towards the audience. Yes, this is something I practiced a lot, finally. Yeah. No, but what I was thinking with your questions is that if I already did movies like that were connected to my studio, that I never did that before. It was always, there was always characters, and it was more out of my intimacy, out of my house. But yeah. No, but storytelling is really my my main passion. So.
Yes, and also I want to ask you regarding the installation, the physical space that I found amazing and so strong and so powerful, like a path to your film. And I would like to know which was your feeling when you saw the first time the plans or the space inside the corderia, and then how, I know exactly how many problems we had, practical problems, but these I don't want to talk about. Yeah. But I am interested to know from an artistic point of view how you made the relation between the film, the movie, and the space, which is so amazing and so powerful.
So there was two things, like I think in a lot of process of a big work, like, or a big production like that, and also a big venue like the Venice Biennale, is that there was, first it started with this question that the movie, that is normally one channel, outside and inside on the same channel, needed to be split in two pieces. And then I took that as a starting point to build up the space. Okay, there will be an outside, there will be an inside. But of course, knowing and watching at the plans, the map and the architectural plans of the Corderia, I knew, and knowing the amount of people visiting the Venice Biennale, I couldn't have my outside part really outside, because it would, first I didn't want, because it's still a very intimate piece. And there was all these questions about, yes, inside, outside, which are anyway the questions of the cave itself, inside, outside, came back in this project. Okay, how to resolve the inside, the outside, but also in a space that is an inside, which is so visited that is almost like outside, you know. So it's so all those questions were really, really difficult, really hard to think, and the idea of having a giant placenta, or it can be everything you want, a heart, a liver, a placenta, it's any kind of organs you have to, I don't know. We all have an organ that we need to take care. So it's anyone you want to take care of. That was from the beginning, as well as the big hand was also from the beginning. But the hand wasn't a gorilla hand. It was, because in the movie there are two hands, which are hands that I filmed in the prehistoric cave, which are prehistoric drawing hands. First gesture of, we don't know if they were artists. So first gesture is putting your hand on the cave wall, blowing the color, and then having the trace of the hand. So this is magical, and also, of course, the hand being the trace of culture, being the clue of human acts for the best and the worst. And so the hand was clear, as well as the organ. And then finally, I managed to have a hand and an organ, an organ in which we can bounce, we can lay down, we can sit, we can jump, we can do whatever we want. But so actually, the two things, hands and organs, were from the beginning. But the gorilla hands came at the end because, okay. Interesting story, this thing with the hand, okay, with blowing the colors. In many, many caves, the fingers are cut. I don't have a picture now, but if you look at those, sometimes you have two fingers cut, the others are normal, and then sometimes it's like all the fingers are cut. And then, of course, that is another amazing mystery, that was it like that? And then the fingers are cut, or those people have their fingers really cut. And then, was it for battles? Was it because of the cold? Was it blah, 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 blah. So there are still a lot of mysteries about those cut fingers. But then, as I wanted to make it in 3D, I had to answer to this mystery. And I couldn't, because I had no... I don't want to, and I certainly don't want to give an answer, because I love the mystery. So it's, and then the gorilla hands appeared like the vision, the solution. I was looking for Lucy's hands. That's a very post-digital work. Huh? You do like Lucy's hands, so the first woman, and then you don't have Lucy, you have gorilla hands. Funny enough. So, and also, of course, a gorilla hand, it's King Kong. So when you do, when you are a woman artist and you make a giant piece, you think, oh wait, I will reverse Jane Fonda syndrome. I will myself make a gorilla woman hand inside people, in which people will enter. But it's not only a gorilla hand, that I also, in everything I'm doing, there is ambiguity. For me, it's not only a gorilla hand, it's also the hand of an old lady, an old an old...
Okay, it has a ring.
Yes, that I actually have it the same here. But no, it has a ring, so... I didn't notice that it's actually the married ring. I didn't, because it's this,
yes, it's
the right hand,
yes,
whatever. But I have no notion in marriage, in wedding whatsoever. So I wasn't thinking of having a married gorilla.
Yes.
But it's also funny because, of course, like a married gorilla, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful idea to have a gorilla female married. That twists your mind completely. But so it's also the hand of an old woman from the south. For me, I don't know, my grandmother was completely like that, having this type of chubby hands with a lot of, like me, like a lot of rings and red nail polish. And she was an amazing storyteller. So there was also like a very personal, yes. And she was a gypsy, so it's like it's also a tribute to my gypsy grandma. Yes.
So it's very
Great
interesting.
storyteller. Yes, but there are so many personal things in my work that I am protecting also, just because, you know, also in the contemporary art world, you better protect also a bit yourself. So now, okay, it's going to be filmed, it's going to be on internet.
Streaming,
Yeah.
everybody knows
yeah,
about
but not
it.
everyone is going to watch the streaming. And the situation is that you are here in front of me, so it's,
We can share a secret, a little secret of you.
or I will ask them. Blurry the moment I'm saying that.
Does anyone want to do a question, maybe? I knew it.
La gioventù.
Anche in italiano, se volete, poi la traduciamo, se c'è qualcosa che vi interessa dell'opera.
Please.
Non siate timidi.
Best way for them to...
Non siete timidi.
Well, maybe meanwhile, could we talk a little bit philosophy? Because the movie, you have some comments that are sort of philosophy, language, and the sacred, and I'm sure you're familiar with Foucault and his essay on philosophy. Foucault,
yes.
when he talks about philosophy not being words, but philosophy needing to be theater, and that essay is so amazingly, remarkably close to your work, because it's like there are many things that resemble each other, his writing and your work. So I'm curious to know how, were you doing that, and then you learn about the essay, it's kind of a hen and egg question, but, when did you learn about the essay and how much influenced you?
No, philosophy in general, or
no,
Foucault
this particular essay where he talks about philosophy needing to be theater as opposed to words. Mm-hmm. Because he starts with some text by Deleuze, and in about 15, 20 pages, he ends up saying that philosophy shouldn't be words, but theater. And he talks about other elements. He talks about the need to do it in a cave, and other elements that are so similar to your work.
I must be honest and tell you that I don't know this text. So
really?
No. No.
That's fascinating, because he truly says that we had to escape the Platonic, the sun, by going to a cave.
But this is in the order of things, les mots et les choses.
Sorry?
In which it is?
It's just from a magazine. It was a short essay based on a couple of books by Deleuze, Repetition and Difference, and another book. And at the end, he concludes that philosophy shouldn't be words, but theater. But in the process, he talks about things like the need for irony as opposed to humor, the need for the cave as opposed to the sun.
Well, I need to read this text.
Well, because you are coming from the same dimension, but in a different way. I mean, he was telling it with words, but I think your films are in some sense, capturing a lot of what he was saying.
If we talk now about Foucault, it's not going to go very far, because I didn't read it a lot. I mean, I read it when I was a student, and I read one specific thing, and I even used the text in my piece about Renaissance. And so the only book I really read is, in English, it's translated by The Order of Things. In French, it's very strange, the translation. The Order of Things. And in French is The Words and the Things. And so the Renaissance is also very much the theatralization of the space, but also of the humankind, the science, and the politic, etc. So this is how I approached maybe what you have read in this text. And after that, I cannot tell more. No, but it's a shame. I would love, but I do believe anyway that yes, then a certain catharsis is a certain amount of catharsis is needed to survive. And this is exactly what I wanted to say, and I didn't use the word catharsis, but obviously it is what we need to survive. I mean, to survive, to understand, to feel, to cry, to laugh, etc., etc. And when art, reaches this point of transcendence, then it's a good piece of art. But it's funny. Again, yesterday night, I was falling asleep, thinking that I have seen really much more beautiful art or strong art or important art in theater and on stage than in any galleries. It's terrible what I'm saying now, but I really feel it is like that. It's me talking. I don't know. I found a lot, and I found, yes, theater director. I don't know, people who manage to make a theater piece. I've seen so many amazing things that really moved me deeply. While I can be moved, but rarely in art less than in theater. I must admit.
Yes, but it's not so strange. Even in the Biennale theater, we saw it took place 1 month ago, more or less.
Yeah.
And we saw amazing performances, theater piece that was really so connected to art that you can ask what is really the end of the theater and the beginning of the art, or are they really connected themselves so much that you cannot really describe something like a theater piece or maybe something else like an art performance. They are so connected, I think, nowadays that it's true what you said, that maybe it's just another way of doing it's just another way of doing art. It's not
it's another way, but it's a way where you are not thinking about making an object. You are thinking about making a theater play, which is which comes from a complete different society needs or even desire. Theater has been a popular and even a public thing, while art wasn't and is still not.
Yes, it's not so.
No, so the aim is completely different. So, but now I'm saying that I must admit that I don't have the guts to be a theater director or a film director completely. I mean, a film director a bit more, but I think if I was more brave, I would have been theater director. But at the same time, I have an answer I have an answer why I didn't become a theater director. Is also that if there is a place where you can really be free to juggle with everything, so painting, making music, making theater, even film, etc., it's the fine arts, the visual arts. So this is also why I'm here and not there.
To be more free.
Exactly, to be more free. Because and the theater economy and scene, it's a different thing. I think it's even more difficult when you are a woman. So there are factual realities also.
Of course.
It's like architecture.
I completely agree with that. When we had the Biennale theater, we were talking about that, and I wonder if you could bring some elements from theater to your work. Like in theater, you had to sit for the performance. For your movies, you had the freedom of coming in and seeing as long as you want, which is wonderful. But on the other hand, people just, boom, they go through. And what would happen if you tell people you had to watch my entire movie? And the other element is the object, as you were saying, that we galleries make the object so precious, and you know, if you use the objects more like props that disappear afterwards, and they are not so sacred and precious.
I don't know if I am going to answer to your question, but it makes me think about Marina's questions. It's also that when I hear for the Arsenale, what was great is that I could finally make a space that was enough trapping people in order to hope that they will stay the whole length. So that was also the challenge, and maybe that also answers to your question. Making a beautiful object, or even a comfortable place, is a way to trap your audience, like you could trap them, and I'm saying it very tenderly, in a movie theater or in a theater, where you trap, but you trap in a very nice way. You can leave, actually. But this is when I started, when I was a student. I remember there was a lot of polemics about filmmakers coming into art and artists coming into cinema. I mean, going to cinema. Well, it's still very much the case. But I had myself a problem with this coming in and coming out situation with this so-called video installation, where the video, you are immersed, it's true, but you are immersed for 3 seconds, and then you have to decide if you stay or not. So, I don't know. It's, for example, this film, I love it here, because it's a sort of like, it looks for me finished, and it has a body, it has a space, it has the film, but it's also great to see it in a movie theater. And when I can show my movie in cinema, I love it. Also because I work a lot on the sound, and the sound is generally amazing in a cinema, and I can never have that, or like really rarely I can have the sound installation I need in an art institution. But I don't know, it's difficult to be radical nowadays. And when I say that, it's that it leads to another question. It's the radicality now when you are making a public. When you're making public forms, you know, everything is sucked. As soon as you are doing something that is a bit radical or edgy, it looks like it's sucked immediately. So I don't know. I will keep on going. Let's see what I can do, where I can. Voilà.
Maybe one question. It is a kind of curiosity, because I studied, when I was young, I studied in a school managed by the Order of the Suore di Nevers. Yes, I studied.
Wow.
And I was in Nevers. I saw in the church the body of Bernadette.
I saw it too. Of course.
And I know from my experience how great is the devotion to this saint. And my question is, which was the reaction to the film? Because, you know, it is of course it is an artistic film, but French France is a Catholic country, less than Italy.
It's a laic country, huh?
Huh?
You know, now, I mean, you know that now the
Italy,
French are
but
like
which is-
so
which
much
was-
going with their laicity that they are
yes.
not a Catholic country.
Okay,
You know,
vabbè.
it's like, no,
Okay,
but it's
okay.
interesting. It's very interesting.
Allora, no, it was
France
my...
is a non-religious
sì.
country, you know?
No, sorry. Yes, internos. Allora, I was, curious to know.
First, I don't know how the Catholic reacted because no one came
So
to me.
no complaints.
No complaints. I also read when I wrote this film. I read an amazing sociological essay by Elisabeth Claverie, who is a sociologist, an amazing woman, an amazing person who is specialist of apparition of Virgin Maries in Serbia and in Lourdes, who also took this fact, this Bernadette Soubirous reality or figure, as a huge sociological subject, as a very important, very heavy sociological subject. And so I don't know what was the reactions. But what I wanted to tell you is that I did another piece that is super, and which was really much more maybe blasphematory, but it wasn't. I don't know. I maybe managed to find
A good balance.
a good balance, you know, because I did a living nativity in 2012, so in Presepio, like a living nativity. But the funny thing is that I did it in an art institution, in the Cartier Foundation, in Fondation Cartier, the ring again, and it was exactly. I did it the weekend of the biggest protest the biggest terrible homophobic protest France ever seen before, and so it was funny to make a living nativity. It was funny. It was something to make a living nativity the day like the whole extreme right was protesting against gay marriage, and so we did something that was a completely, really crazy, quite punk living nativity. At the same time, it was in the Fondation Cartier, so it was this very chic place, beautiful place. We were there with our super carnavalesque troupe. I had a huge rainbow on my head. I was playing God. I was pregnant like hell. There was, I don't know, there was like a lot of levels of whatever. Let's do something.
Everything inside.
And it's also like the Fondation Cartier is in this very bourgeois, not bourgeois. It's actually it's more than. I was going to say more than bourgeois. It's a very rich area, where a lot of Catholics family are living, and there was a lot of Catholics, like practicants coming. There was even some religious who came, as well as a lot of friends and more who came from the anti-protest. So there was like a huge mix of people, actually, and everybody was super happy. So, but I don't know. It was Christmas, you know. The idea was.
So they must be happy.
No, but it's funny because we played on. We wanted to make a Christmas play on a very literal. But of course, the political context was so crazy, so disgusting, that playing this Christmas happiness with something that was obviously super critical, but using a very traditional and very Catholic theme, while the real right Catholic were protesting against the gay marriage, all these things combined made a great piece. But it was the context was making it. Yeah, the context was making it. You know, I didn't make it again after. It was finally. It was.
Yes, it was the.
It was the 16th of December 2012. Like you just homophobic protest. You just voilà. It was all combined. Ouais. So I don't know. That's also the context that leads to another question. The context is.
So if anybody has no question, I think the scholar has to go. We thanks very, very much, Pauline. Thank you all.
Thank you.